Evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bag Makers Society Podcast. So sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late on. Me and Sean basically were chatting before we started, and we lost track of time. So it's probably going to be another really chatty episode, but no surprise there. So if any of you have seen my posts, obviously letting everybody know about tonight's episodes, you will all know that I am a massive fan of Sean's. I've been following Sean's channel probably good. Well, we're not actually going to years because that'll give both of our ages away, so we don't want to do that. But it's been quite a while. So I actually really kind of discovered bag making inadvertently through Sean and her tutorial for the NCW. So it's kind of her fault we're all here. So let's blame Sean. So without further ado, let's bring her in. So
Hi.
Good evening. So basically, Sean, it's all your fault.
Oh, when you first told me that, it was just like, oh, that's so lovely. And it's actually a way that I met one of my other best friends is through that NCW video. And she's now a bag pattern designer of like great fame. And she, like that's how she kind of found me as well. So yeah, those videos are, I still really proud of them. I have got some updates that I want to make to them, but I'm just like, oh, should I, or should I just leave well enough alone? Kind of thing.
I'd leave them as they are and then do new ones.
Yeah, do them.
And get a whole new,
like this long ago, as you were saying. I can't even remember how long ago it was.
Well,
and these are the ones that, this is the tweaks that I do now.
Well, that's it. I mean, I've kind of did them as the core, how you did them, and now I've kind of I'm so off-piste.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the lovely things about most patterns is that you're like the more that you do them, you're like, oh, hang on a minute, this would make sense, or I could tweak this, or I love that kind of like aspect of what we do.
Yeah. So do you want to kind of introduce yourself? And obviously I know that you're mainly a garment sewer, but obviously you do a little bit of bag making. So do you want to sort of like tell everybody how you got into the bag making side of sewing?
Oh, I completely meant to bring down the very first NCW I ever made because I still have it, and it's this thing that you can actually like scrunch up and crumple up. But my very first bag because it was one of those ones, it's like I have no idea what I'm doing. Interfacing? What's interfacing? But so I'd been sewing for a little while, and I can't remember how, but the NCW crossed my kind of like, it was just one of those things. It was just like, well, that looks cool. I think it had come up on Pinterest, and I was like, I'll give that a go. And I made it out of a remnants of a dress that I'd made because it was a quilting cotton dress. So it was like, oh yeah. And like I say, I used it for ages, but it's so squishy that you can literally like squish it into like a tiny little ball. And I was just like, this is really cool. And then my next bag project was a hobo bag, which was a free pattern that, again, I found on Pinterest. And I have an embroidering machine. So I was just like, I know, I should embroider the crap out of this. And he did that, and then had to do the thing where I cut into this incredibly densely embroidered and time-heavy fabric to make the thing out of it. And it was like, oh, God, this is terrifying. But did that. And it turned out amazingly, and I used and wore that thing. And then I started making more NCWs because I was just like, oh, this is such a cool pattern, but what if I tried this? Because like I wanted 2 zipper pockets, and then it was like, what if I tried this? And so I've ended up making huge ones that have been kind of like evening bags, and then discovered the wide world of bag making. I think my favorite designer for a very long time was Swoon. And I kind of did a couple of their bag patterns, and then randomly was asked to go and teach the NCW at a sewing studio in Essex. It was a 2-day class. No, in fact, I did the NCW class in my studio in the polytunnel at Chili Farm. In an afternoon, because I was like, I can make one of those in 4 hours. I can teach 5 other people to do that in 4 hours. And we did all finish in one day, cutting out, choosing fabric, interfacing, and sewing it up. We were there for a little bit longer than I ended up closing the tunnel. But then somebody else asked me to come and teach, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And discovered my love of teaching, and then it was just like, oh, the Isle of Wight's nice. Why don't I put together bag making retreats? Because whilst, like you say, I predominantly sew garments, garments are inherently that much more difficult because they have to fit different body types. They are much larger projects to cut out. And I just thought bags fit everyone, and they're small, and they're really fun, and something that not all garment sewists treat themselves to making. So yeah, the first one was a 2-day retreat, and only one person finished their bag because they were cutting out and interfacing and sewing all in those 2 days. And so then the next one, which they all asked for later on that year, so I did 2 in the first year, I gave them homework. So I did a video of like cutting out guide, and here's what you need to change to get the results that I wanted to do with you. And yeah, everyone got finished that time. And then they asked for a longer retreat, so we did a 3-day retreat. And then they asked for a longer retreat, so we did a 4 one. And then the last one that I did was a week, and it was absolutely brilliant. And there's already people booked for next year as well. So
yeah, you have a couple of like non-sewing days, though, don't you?
Say again?
You have a couple of non-sewing days.
Yeah. We have 2 days of sewing, 1 day off, 2 days of sewing, 1 day off, and then obviously the arrival day as well. So it's a whole week on the island. But that was one of the bits of feedback that I was getting quite a lot, was that it would be nice to go and see the Isle of Wight, because it's a pain in the proverbial to get here, and it is expensive to get here. Those ferries are ridiculous. And so yeah, it was like a day off to go explore the island, which worked out really, really well. We weren't blessed by the weather this year, but fingers crossed next year it will be better.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's been blessed this year with weather.
No, definitely not.
I'm going to jump into the comments and just sort of quickly say hello to a few people. Donna's said hello to me and everyone. My husband was just obviously letting everybody know that we wouldn't be long. Sue says hello. She hopes I'm feeling a bit better. I am starting to. Sue, thank you so much. Rosa says hi. Nikki says hi. I've remembered your name, Nikki. Melanie says hi. So does Maureen. You'll be able to tell me this. I was going to say, because I'm terrible for remembering people's names. We've got Rachel, Valerie, Sarah, who's finally made it to alive. Yay! We have Erica.
Erica.
And yeah, did you say it was Robin?
Yes, Robin. Yeah.
She says they're a truly lovely experience.
Yeah.
Every time you announce them, I'm like, I so want to go, but it's just so far for me, because I'm about an hour from Scotland. So
but like now, like I say, now it's a week, and non-sewing partners are welcome. We've already got one non-sewing partner coming all the way from America next year.
Wow. I've got no excuse, have I?
None. I've had people come from Zimbabwe. I've had people come from Germany. Erica lives in Washington State, and she was the very first person to book on my very first retreat. And I remember emailing her and just being like, Erica, this is like a in-person class for 2 days. And she's, because I'd seen her address when she paid her deposit, and she's like, yep. And it's the start of like a wonderful friendship. So
well, my husband's saying Isle of Man. No, sorry, mate, Isle of Wight. No motorbikes for you. And sorry, I don't know obviously what your first name is, but we've got MPD Sewing says finally made alive in Australia.
That's another thing. I've got a lady who's coming all the way from Australia to one of the retreats, so you really have no excuse.
Yeah.
Not that you need me to teach you bag making. I mean, that's the thing, Erica, when she came to my very first retreat, she was a bag maker. I was like, what? Why?
But it is that sociable aspect, isn't it? It's not, you're not necessarily going to learn, although I think no matter who you meet up with, you can always learn something.
Oh, absolutely.
It's that sociable aspect of just being around people who love what you love.
Yeah, and totally.
Fabric fondling.
Yeah, yes. We always manage to make a trip to the local fabric store as well.
So Erica says, my life changed when I decided to go to the retreat.
Yeah, you better stuck with me. I won't leave her alone now. we have a group chat, so it's pretty much a daily group chat. But just to throw this out there, Erica, I got a letter from your husband today. We're talking about a Rolling House of Cheese UK tour next year, which is very exciting.
Well, Rachel says, when is the next retreat? Possibly have to wait until the kid is out of high school, but keeping my fingers crossed.
It is the end of April, beginning of May next year. I can give you the exact dates, a little bit of advertising. Thank you.
Your website is in the description, so they can go on your website.
There's an entire page on the retreat on the website, but it's the 25th of April for a week through to May. So you also get to celebrate my birthday with me. I always put them over my birthday or near my birthday so that there's an enforced party with people that I love.
You sound so like my daughter. My daughter has, which has kind of condensed it down now. She used to have birthday month.
Oh, nice.
But now we'll have birthday week. You know, she's getting that little bit older, so we've gone to birthday week as opposed to birthday months.
I know. I think the thing with me is the older I get, the longer the celebration is now. It's just like,
the more levels you get.
Yeah, leveling up every year. It's
yeah, exactly. So MPD Sowen says, "Oh, I wish, but the kids won't fit in my luggage. Could you do me a huge favour, please, and accept my invite so that I can get free?" She must have clicked send before she finished.
Yeah.
Oh, and she said, "I'm Cassie. I probably will forget because, you know."
Yeah, I am the same. It takes me about 5 or 6 weeks for people's names in the Hangouts to be like, oh, this person is this in real life, and then I need to remember this person does not want to be called this on like live thing as well. So I do tend to stick to people's usernames because otherwise I get very I get tongue tied.
Yeah. Well, I go through all of my kids' names before I get to the right one. Isn't great for my only son, but never mind. And Erica says, "Ooh, Rolling House of Cheese." It would have to be a thing of chocolate for me, I think.
It's kind of an in-joke from Friends when Monica meets Monica and Chandler are together, but Phoebe meets the chef, and then Monica and the chef are in House of Cheese. Because they want to go live in France and eat cheese and bread. And
with bread as well. So Cassie says she's terrible with names. She responds to anything. My daughter's like that because I gave my daughter a really awkward name that nobody can pronounce because it's spelled really funny, and she just basically answers to anything that begins with N. Nice. So, you know, if you're sitting and, you know, somebody's like Naomi and everybody's sort of looking around. Like, oh, what's me?
Yeah, I remember getting to that point in the register when they'd be getting, because they did it by surname. So my name was always down kind of low anyway. And I you know, get to the name register and you'd be like sitting there in the beginning of the school year and you just be getting, and you'd see the teachers like go cold because it wasn't a common name like 40 odd years ago. They're like, Sian? What? And the best one was Stan? Okay.
Well, Neve's name was once spelt with a P. And it's N-I-A-M-H. And it was like, she was about 12 at the time. I was like, nymph? Like, no. I was like on the side of like a Starbucks cup. I was like,
oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, never mind. So Lynn saying good evening, and Melanie saying, do you also the same bag on the retreat?
Yeah, it's usually a bag that I've picked. The one that we did at the last retreat is Shambhala's Dulcinea, because I've got the pattern here because I still have a sew along to do for it for the main channel. But that was the one we did at the last retreat, and I really loved the pattern, but there were some tweaks that I wanted to make to it to make it more, because there were some raw edges left, and with faux leather that's not the worst thing in the world, and it does mean that it's a slightly easier sew, but I was just like, oh, I can tweak this. But yeah, so I do tend to have everyone do the same pattern, although I have taught classes in other places where I was teaching the swoon Annette in both sizes, and the NCW at the same time to 12 different people. So I had like 4 people over there doing the NCW, and then 4 people over there doing one size, and 4 people over there doing another size, and they wanted to put different pockets in and stuff like that. If it's a pattern that I know backwards and forwards like those 2 patterns, I was totally happy with that, because I'm not the kind of teacher that will insist on everybody getting to the same point before we can move on. Because I appreciate that everybody works at different paces. Some people intuitively are able to read sewing patterns and know what the designer's talking about, because, as you know, not all of them are as wonderfully written as the lavender and twine patterns. Those are amazing. I taught Erica very kindly let me teach the Horiath at last year's retreat, and it was one of the only patterns where I've not changed anything, because she does all the things that I do. She bundles the pattern pieces into like sections, and they're brilliant. But not that I'm, like
I tend to do things her way on other patterns. So like I'll do like slip pockets. I always do my slip pockets. Like I'll go on doing them Erica's way.
Yeah.
And I do I always do my zipper plackets. I do them Erica's way.
Yeah.
Why have 4 pieces when you can have 2? I mean, it's just genius.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Erica's as well.
Yeah.
And they're just beautiful.
They are.
I'm a big fan of Swoon too. I've always been a big fan of Swoon and bag stock. They were some of the first patterns that I ever made. Erica says that, she's blushing. I've just realised I've left the comments up. I'll be getting told off. Yeah, Erica's blushing, but that's fine. You can blush. It's
a little Bango club over here. But I mean, you do write amazing patterns, which I love, because you were a bag maker first, and you were doing the same thing that Deb and I were doing, which was literally looking at a pattern and just going, oh, hang on a minute. We did it this, it would then do this, and then it would, fewer pieces or an easier process or something like that. So I love the way that Erica comes at it, because she's doing it because she used to make bags to order and now does the pattern designing. And they're brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. I always love there's a couple of craft shows on the island, or big shows on the island that have craft tents and things like that. And whenever I go, I always have like a Horiath or a Swoon or something like on my shoulder. And there's always 2 ladies on the island that make bags. And they always see me and they're like, oh, that's a lavender and twine. I'm like, yeah. Like, have you seen this bag? This is the Brystone bag. This was named after the Isle of Wight, the town on the Isle of Wight. And I'm like, yeah, she's my friend. I took her there to show. It's always really fun, and then they're like, "Oh my god!" So that's always really fun. But yeah, Erica writes bag patterns the way that I would want to make them. So
yeah, but I mean, obviously, like I'll sort of have a bag and make it a few times, and then go, I'll do it this way and I'll do it this way. But Erica just took it to a new level and started writing her own.
Yeah,
which I don't think I'll ever do. I haven't got the patience.
I'm really impressed with myself for the one pattern that I've done, which is basically rectangles.
Sarah says, better late than never. Hi all, just in time for the lavender and twine praise. Me too, following her ways. So yeah. Grace says hello, and Erica says thank you. So yes, I think we're all pretty much massive fans of lavender and twine and Swoon bag stock. Any other pattern designers
obviously she's now combined with Swoon, and I also love Chris W designs.
Not on my sewing machine there just as well. It's really heavy and it's not going anywhere. I love her the pocket supplements.
Yes, I use that for like everything, and so does my mum. My mum's always just like, I want to shove this in every single bag, and I'm like, Mum, the bag's too small. She's like, I will make it fit. And she puts it in there. She's like, I need all my pockets. So yeah, I've made I've got quite a few of Chris W's patterns, but I've made the Luna bag as the biggest travel size one. That thing is amazing. But oh my gosh, £95 for the hardware and interfacing alone, and then you have to get all the fabric, and it's a big bag. So that was not an inexpensive one, and it was something that I did float for the retreats, because that is something that I will do, is kind of once everyone's booked, I'll usually announce the pattern around sort of February, March time, but I put together a Facebook group, a private one, so that we can all talk about travel plans. If anyone's getting down by foot, they can all meet up at the ferries and things like that, just like coordinating stuff. But I will give people kind of like, would you like to make a utility bag? Would you like to make a handbag? Do you want to make a wallet? And then predominantly it's usually, can we make a handbag? Because they're things that people see every day, whereas wallets obviously live inside purses and stuff. So I do kind of like float the idea one year of doing the lunar bag, the big one, as like a night bag for a weekend retreat, because at that time it was 2-3 days. But oh my gosh, that is an expensive pattern.
and when they're big as well, it's like manipulating them.
I actually didn't find that too bad, because Chris actually asked me to do a sew along for it, and I will eventually, because I've just got to like gear up to make myself another one, because I have such a huge one. And she was like, the larger you go, the easier they are to make. It's just a bit like difficult to maneuver under the machine. But yeah, just
I made
people around with these giant things trying to fit under their sewing machines. So
I made the Tribbiani Traveller, the Sincerely Jen, and it's a trio pattern. And I made the small one. It's lovely sort of handbag size, great for sort of like putting your makeup. And my hairdryer is kind of quite small because it's like a diffuser one. Fits great. Then I made the neck size up, which is perfect for Andy for a weekend size. And I was like, I'm going to make the neck size up. Oh my word, it's massive. I think literally my youngest, who is not as tall, like she's 20, but she's tiny, but she can literally get it there. It is so big, but I love it. So I've got a trio and they all match.
Nice.
And
nice.
Yeah. But it was like sort of trying to sew it, and I had sort of a cup of tea and a drink of pop, and then I kept having to move stuff.
Yeah,
because I could just see even my computer, because my computer's kind of on the end of my sewing machine on a table. I was like, yeah, that's going to have to move, because that's going to get pushed off. It's just so much. But yeah, but they're so useful though.
Yeah, I love mine, and I did try and take it on the London Underground though as a weekend bag when I was going to see somebody out and stay up for a weekend, and it's one of those ones where it's just like, this is to be put in the back of a car and driven somewhere. It's perfect size for everything, but it's got no wheels.
Yeah,
that's the next
step. Mine
that I really want to see is like the frame that you can build. Like you could actually build a weekend bag that you could then wheel around on. But yeah, I think somebody's done it, but one that
you could just put there. You could just put like like the luggage strap on between the handles.
Oh yeah, it's got that.
And then put it over one of those.
Yeah,
it's
got that as well, but I just know
luggage things.
Yeah, if I have all of that stuff, I will take all of that stuff with me, and I don't need it. Or I will go up with an empty suitcase and come back with fabric, because the place I was staying was very close to the Gold Hawk Road. So
your microphone kept breaking off there, but then I heard Gold Hawk Road.
Yeah,
it's like I love the Gold Hawk Road. I went. When did I go? I was in London. I was on my own because I wasn't restrained. Can't remember what I was. Oh, it was last July. I was down there for just sort of like a business event, and I was like, I've got time to go across the Gold Hawk Road. So thought, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, but actually it was really easy to get across. I just went, I think Shepherd's Bush train tube, walked across the road. It's like, oh my goodness. And it was not so much fun getting back across the tube and then the train all the way back to Durham. But thankfully Andy was there with the car when I sort of like struggled off the train with my bags. Yeah. But
I still have 2 leather skins that I got from All Your Textiles on the Gold Hawk Road that I am determined to make into a hobo bag, like a big slouchy bag, but I keep getting them out and then I'm just like, nope, too scared, put them away, because they are so beautiful.
They had some gorgeous fabrics. I got it beautiful, and I actually made it into one of the Tribbiani Travellers. I think it was the really big one that I made. It was like a blue and yellow wool. Oh, it was gorgeous. And then I trimmed it with some reclaimed leather.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it did. It came out. It was gorgeous to work with. But it's heavy. And then once it's filled, So I tend to try and swap with Andy. Like, I'll carry your bag and you carry mine. Yeah. Oh. So Nikki's saying, count me into that group. That is for the love of Erica and her patterns. Love your patterns. Donna's saying, got loads of patterns, just not made many as yet. Some new names for me. Very much enablers.
I have a huge, the majority of them are PDF ones, and I have a huge file on my computer of all my PDF bag patterns, and I've had to separate them into categories of, like, you know, designer, and then categories within that, because there were just so many. And
me both.
I go through every now and again, and I'm like, I need to make some of these, and then it's just like, oh, but I love these ones. I do that. I tend to kind of like remake things that I love in just new fabric, because I know I love them and I know they function for the kind of lifestyle and the way that I use my bags.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same with garments as well, isn't it? Though it's like, once you find a pattern in a style that works for you, and you've tweaked it, and you've got that pattern like absolutely, like, you don't then want to do it again. With another pattern, but then once you do, you're like, oh, I love this one as much. So it is worth it. It's just,
I think for me, it's one of those things where it's like you say, if you've put all the work in and get it to fit you perfectly, but then more importantly, if you find yourself wearing the thing multiple times, or the pieces that you've made from it multiple times, then making it over and over and over again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I've got two 7974s cut out behind you, and I've got 8 of that pattern now, and this will be my 9th and 10th. But I changed something. The thing that stays the same every single time is the bodice. Maybe the neckline changes a bit, but the bodice will stay the same. But you can smoosh different sleeves and different skirts onto those. And if you obviously use different fabric, and it just looks wildly different. And you've put all that effort in. Why would you not reuse something that, because getting your bodice fitting well is not easy. So
and it's the same with bags as well. You can change things up by putting different handles on, doing contrasting handles. You can use slightly different hardware, like different connectors. I quite often can go back to lavender and twine. So sorry, Erica, for totally fangirl.
Erica fangirl.
But I love the colour pop strap. Absolutely love it. So I'll quite often either use that as my crossbody strap, or I'll quite often use it as my handles, just to change it up if I'm making a pattern that I've made quite a few times before. So because it adds like a different element to it. And I'll sometimes take things from one pattern and add it onto another pattern, like you do the sleeves. I do the same with
the Chris W Designs pocket supplement, like that gets slotted into any bag that it will fit for me, because I love it. It's so clever. She's done a different one which you can either sew in as a pocket or have it as like a little clutch, which I love as well. So I haven't made that one yet, but I bought it, and I'm just like, yes, eventually I will get around.
Donna's just saying there, she's a sucker for a pattern bundle. I mean, obviously there's just been the So Modern pattern bundle out, which incidentally I think finishes tonight for anybody who is sort of still like, oh, but obviously that's like 20 odd patterns. I think it works out about 20 quid.
Ooh, nice.
So it's really good if there's a couple, even if there's just a couple of patterns in there that you really like, but it's quite a good way to sort of discover different designers as well. And there's a Mrs. H one in there. There's a Studio 77, which we all know. I love Studio 77 and I love Emma, obviously. There's Crafted by Leanne. I'm a big fan of Crafted by Leanne. There's a I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else is in there. Think it's gone. It came in my head and then it's gone. Just thank you.
We'll be chatting, it'll come back, it'll just pop in.
But there's there's so many ones that you recognize, but then there's ones that like you haven't. There's a Toby Stylix one in there. So it's a really good way to try different pattern designers that you've not tried before, to see if you like their style of writing, of their, of the way they do patterns.
Yeah.
And it's why I now need a hard drive for my patterns instead of a USB stick.
Nice.
So if you can hear something whirring in the background, that is actually my hard drive that runs 24/7.
Storing onto all your bag patterns.
And I do the same. I mean, obviously it's got lots of things on there, but my patterns is also on there because the USB was just like, not happening anymore.
Too many.
But all of mine's the same. It's by pattern designer, and then all now.
I do have to go through like the whole list every now and again, and look at actually open them up and look at the instructions, because I bought this one the Shambhala Dulcinea. I bought this years ago thinking, oh, I love that, and I've got 3 of their patterns, and it wasn't until I was going through thinking, oh, do I do another lavender and twine pattern this time around, or do I, because I can't bring anything to a lavender and twine pattern. The sew alongs are already there, it's already brilliantly written. I can't do anything extra other than hold people's hands through it. Whereas with something like this, which is really well written, but it is the interfacing suggestion was medium weight. Like, I'm spoiled. I want more. So I try and find patterns that I can bring something to, so that when I'm, because it's far to come, and also it's an expensive week. I think it's a really good value for money week, but it is an expensive week. So I want to like bring something to the table where I'm just like, I'm adding to the pattern and the experience as well. So I will go through my pattern archives every now and again to look through what I've bought, because there's so many in there. Like, I'm like, what? I forgot about that.
I was going to start and add to the stash hub, and then I just thought I need to take a week off work. I mean, she actually, I don't know if you saw the reel the other day, where she showed how, because she tagged me in it, showed how to add like hardware. And I was going to go in the garage and do another reel to go, anybody want to come help?
Don't make me.
So yeah, that's not going to happen. But yeah, I was like, I'd need to take a week off work just to sort of add. And I mean, I would hate to think how you would even begin to add your fabric onto the stash hub, because I mean that is just a tiny little selection behind you there.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Stash Hub app. I think it's brilliant, but there was something similar about 11 years ago that I went through, and I measured all my fabric, photographed it, put all the details in, the width of the fabric, how much I had, where I bought it from, the content, all of it. And I was well proud of myself. And that was a much smaller stash. And that took me a week. And about a year later, it just went poof. There was no like announcement. It just disappeared. And so like, I'm totally been burnt by that. And I was saying to Yvette, because she very kindly invited me on her podcast, and I was just like, I really want, and she's like, ours is not going anywhere. I was like, I know, but it's just going to be, do you want to come and help?
That's what I was going to, can I hire you?
Yeah, the very lovely Robin is actually coming down to visit next week. She's staying for a week, and I can imagine her sitting at home right now just going, no, last time you made me help you clean out your wardrobe, I am not helping you list your fabrics. Like, Robin, you have a holiday, right?
Yeah. While you're here, MPD Sewing says, suggestions for easiest, best beginner patterns and purses, please. A bit more than a tote or an envelope.
I'm going to selfishly self-promote. It is a tote bag, but it's a really nice one, and it's free.
that's a video on your channel, isn't there?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, my very first.
I think. I was just going to say Diane by Spencer Oggs, very, very good for beginners.
Yeah. I have to say though, the very first bag project I tackled was the NCW. It was, I've never made a bag before. And if you break it down into individual sections, which I just so happen to do on my tutorials, if you break it down into individual sections, it's actually really easy. it's just a lot of moving parts. But when you break it down like that and tackle it individually rather than this big thing that's like horrific, and I think that's one of the nicest comments that I get about that sew along is like, oh wow, I never thought I could do this, but you've broken it down in such a way that this is actually completely doable. And if you're a garment sewer, if you're a complete beginner sewer, then no. But if you're a garment sewer, you've got all the basics and you can follow instructions and you know about seam allowances. So yeah,
I'd say that's probably like for a beginner, I'd say is seam allowances is so important in bag making. Like in dressmaking, you can sometimes get away with it a little bit
in dressmaking, for sure.
Because you've got, especially in the big four patterns, there's so much wear and ease in some of them. You can get away a little bit more with your seam allowance, but in bag making, seam allowance is so. Definitely. One of these bad boys is probably going to be your best friend. Or draw your seam on.
Just, especially around curves.
A, nobody's going to know, and B, if anybody says anything about it, then you don't need that sort of negativity in your life. No. So draw your seam on and follow it that way, because your seam allowance in bag making will make or break how well your bag turns out, as well as interfacing. Good quality interfacing. Like, don't buy the cheap, papery, crappy stuff from the local haberdashery that sells it for £1, because your NCW will be smooshable.
Literally.
Me and Sean know, because that's exactly what I did. I just went and bought interfacing because I didn't know about interfacing.
Yeah, because I mean, if a pattern like this one, which I know is not written by an English speaker, but still, like, again, totally spoiled, Erica will go through like every combination of things that you can put together, and she'll recommend different interfacing sandwiches for quilting cottons as opposed to faux leathers. But yeah, this one, medium weight interfacing, and I've made 3 experimental bags before I found my happy one that I'm going to use for the sew along that will be coming out this year. But with this one, it's a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, which is what you're going to trim everything down to, but it was really tight. So with this one, I actually ended up basting the panels on, and so that it could then, I didn't have to worry about pinning it or
clipping.
Thank you. Words, you're just gone. But yeah, trying to clip something that's got a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance with curves that you've got to get, it's like, no. And so I made everyone hand stitch it into place, and they were all bitched at me, but I was like, honestly, it's worth it. And they were like, yeah,
thank me.
Thing very easily. And like you say, no one's going to know in the long run.
No. And like if I'm sort of teaching, or if I'm helping anybody with anything, and I'll say to people, it's not a race. Just take your time with it, enjoy the process, because you'll be happier with the finished result at the end if you've took your time. And that's come from experience with me, because I am the world's worst for wanting things finished, trying to cut corners, and it just doesn't work. Taking your time, doing things properly.
There's a well-known phrase on my channel, ask me how I know. It's like, I have made these mistakes, I have gone through this process, I have done this way, and it doesn't work, which is why I'm telling you to do it this way. Trust me.
Donna says bags by bags of style. That's obviously in reference to beginner patterns. Lynn says she can't resist printing the patterns, love to be able to look through them all. I've got a file with the front page of all of mine printed.
That's a really good idea, actually. I like that. I've got a bunch printed out, but I do like that idea. I need to do that with my PDF clothing patterns as well.
I don't know if you can see, but they're all then sectioned in. I'm very a bit.
Again, Robin.
Sorry, Robin.
For holiday, but no, you're going to come and help organise my sewing room.
I sent Jane. Robin, not you. So yeah, but no, that makes such a difference, because it stops me buying multiple patterns. Obviously, if I had it on my phone, it would be a lot easier, but I just need the time to sit and do that. But yeah, it does mean I can just kind of grab it and look, and I don't have to put my computer on or look through the ones that I've already printed off. Sarah says, between picking the pattern, picking the fabric, picking the hardware, it's a minor miracle she actually finds the time to make a bag. Yeah. 3 to 5 working weeks, isn't it? And Robin says, you know me too well. I was typing as you were speaking. Happy to help with fabric funding and admin. # captive helper.
This is actually meant to be her holiday, bless her. There will be at least 2 or 3 days spent down here, though.
Yeah. Nikki says, all I could do was darn socks and sew pillowcases by hand before I started sewing bags and using a machine. And I started making bag patterns a year later.
Oh, amazing.
There you go. Cassie says, thank you, ladies. You're amazing. I have 3 different guides for seam allowances to try and find which one with doing bags. You know, you'll find what works for you. Like, again, I say this to people all the time. Like, I might do something one way, Sean might do something another way, and it's what works. It's what works for you, and there's no right or wrong way of doing it. You will get some people who are like sticklers and who are like, this is the only way to do things, and you know, it might be the only way that they were taught, especially, you know, if they've gone to college or uni or what have you. But to me, if something works and it's not dangerous, you know, you're not going to sew through your fingers, or you know, like, you're not standing there wafting a rotary cutter around. Anybody who's been around me in real life in a sewing environment will know I have a real thing with rotary cutters and the guards not being down. But as long as, you know, you're doing things safely, then what works for you, and it's the right way of doing it.
Exactly. I always say that as well on the channel. It's like, however you get there, if you like the end result, that's the correct way. Because I very rarely put in installing invisible zips into dresses in my sew-alongs. I'll just be like, and now I'm going to put the zip in, and then kind of gloss over it. Because every time I put my method of doing it in, I get referred back to the Kenneth Threads magazine one, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And my sister-in-law's even given me a hemostat so that I can do the method, but I have to think about that method. I have to go and watch the video and be like, this is how you do the thing. Whereas the way that I've done it over the years, I don't even use pins for my zips anymore. I just sew them in freehand, and they always come out fine. I mean, occasionally I end up with a fluff, but everybody does. But it works for me, and it's something that I don't have to think about. And again, like we've both said, however you get to the end result, if it's functional and you like it, that's the correct way. There's so many different ways of achieving the same thing.
Yeah. Donna says, top stitching curves and binding is still her nemesis. It won't be after this week, Donna. Don't you worry. We've got a session in the club this week with binding.
I put binding into my very first bag pattern in December last year, and I'm so proud of it. My Biani Power Trip bag, the binding around this.
That's fab.
I've hand stitched this down because I was just, I machine stitched the first pass, and then the second pass they was like, yeah, get it under the machine. I was like, oh my god, no. That's all hand stitched. I'm so glad I did because it looks beautiful. I'm so pleased with this. I absolutely love this thing, and it's probably the only paper pattern bag pattern that I've ever bought because she doesn't do PDFs. But yeah, binding is doable.
It is. It's just finding like how it works for you.
Yeah.
So, and the little gadget is this.
Yeah, that's a little magnetic one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little magnetic seam. It's just basically you pop it on your machine so that you can butt your fabric up to it, and it keeps your seam allowance in place. Something just to be aware of, though, if you are using a very computerized machine, it's sometimes not advisable to use. But
I know I've had to be fair though, my machine does have a magnet in to hold its pen, so I'm guessing it's okay. But it is one of those things where it's just I always get really, really kind of like, this is a computer, and computers and magnets don't work. It's an old computer as well now.
Mine's just an absolute workhorse and will sew through anything that you put underneath it, including metal clips and fingers and
that's my biggest fear. I've never done it. It's my biggest fear.
Yeah, no, I've never done it, but I've sewn through metal clips, like literally through, because I quite often use like these.
Oh yeah, I've got those. I love those.
Yeah, so it's literally sewn through them, and like clips. Like so like I keep my fingers well out of the way.
Yeah.
Sarah says, I think experience is known when you need to go extra slow rather than super quick. Yeah, I'm really a slow sewer. I think people think because I've been sewing so long, I'd be Speedy Gonzales, and I'm really not. Like, obviously my machine is adjustable, like speed adjustable, and I have mine really slow because I mean, especially bag making, you see, like need to be massive.
Like stitch around corners, totally, absolutely.
So it's just doesn't need to be quick.
And as well, like even if you go really fast, you still, if you make a mistake, you've still got one pick and do it again. So going slow the first time and getting it right is time saving. Yeah,
it's quicker. Both Andy and Donna are saying their magnetic seam guide. I can't get my words out properly. Donna says, I can be shown something by my mum person and not get it until I've seen person B, C and D. Everyone has a different teaching learning style. Yeah, we were just literally on about learning styles because everybody's learning style is totally different. Cassie's saying that's gorgeous. I think that's in reference to your bag, as well as Sheila.
Power trip. Highly recommend.
I managed to lift the knee press with my finger under the needle. Yeah, I'm not reading the rest of that out. Sorry, Sarah.
No, it makes my entire neck disappear when people talk about it. Oh
no! It's that's why I'm really thingy with rotary cutters. When if I'm at the socials and stuff, and people use the rotary cutter and they don't retract them, I'm like straight away. I'm like, so what? I don't tell people off for, but
I had there was a girl that turned up to one of the NCW classes that I was teaching at another property, and she was brand new to sewing, and it just had slipped through the cracks that she'd never really done anything before. And so I was teaching her how to use like a quilting ruler and the rotary cutter. She started cutting it towards herself, and I was just like, no. And I was like, because of this. And then she was putting it down without locking it. And it's like, no. And it was she was the only one that didn't finish her NCW in those 2 days, but she was so close. And I was like, the videos are there for you to finish it off so that you can do. But yeah, it's one of those things that some people you take knowledge for granted, and then it's like you don't know what you don't know for others. And I get loads of people ask me to do like complete beginners courses on sewing, and I'm just like, probably in person I could, because I'd have people there asking questions, but I'm not sure I could do a video series on that, because it's just got to the point now where so many things are innate, like rotary cutter safety, that you don't think that you need to talk about it, because it's just like, oh no, that's common knowledge.
Yeah, it's not. Or the rotary cutter, and I think I've got the scars to prove it, and I'm really careful with my rotary cutter. And I've still, I've got a mark on my hand at the moment where I caught myself the other day. My daughter's boyfriend comes in when I'm working, and like if I've been cutting interfacing, and he comes in, he's talking away to us, and he picks the rotary cutter up, and he's like this, and I'm like, give me that rotary cutter, just literally take things off him, bless his heart. I'm like, you're giving me anxiety. Yeah, bless his little heart. And I tell Andy off completely, because obviously he helps me quite a few times with orders and stuff if I'm busy, and he is the world's worst for putting the rotary cutter down without retracting the blade.
My mum,
so he gets told. So I'm so sorry, Donna, but I'm not really going to read that comment out because I'm going to freak. But I hope you're okay. Cassie says, love my rotary cutter, but so cautious with safety, especially with my kids popping in and out. Yeah, that's, I think, what gives me massive anxiety and why I was really happy to move into this room, because this is what used to be my living room.
Right.
And I kind of one day went, I've had an idea, yeah. And as you went, right. And was swapped, because I was sort of in the dining room at one point. But that's sort of like a through room.
Right, yeah.
So yeah. So it's like into the kitchen, the stairs is in there, and Andy's got like young kids than what I've got, and they hear quite a lot. And I just, especially with his son, it used to really, really worry us that I would forget and I would leave something out.
Yeah.
And I can't expect, what was he, when we started living here, it was about 9, 10. I can't expect, a child to not pick something up that I've left out because I'm inquisitive. So I would just be so anxious. So like when I moved in here, I can shut the door. Everybody laughs about how tidy this sewing room is, because you wouldn't think I work in here, because it's so tidy. And it gets me really anxious when it's not.
Yeah.
People are like, how can you be creative and when it's and I'm like, that's just the way I am.
I'm with you on that one.
That's to me has to be a tip.
Yeah. I have I currently have 3 piles of future projects on my table. I've got my jerseys over there, my to be cut out wovens very soon, and then my cutout projects right behind you. But that's it. Everything else is tidy and lives in its place. I love my mum to pieces, but when she comes down here and sews, she doesn't have as much room as I do, and that was her choice, not mine, because I had that question before. It's like, why is your mum in the corner and you've got all the room? Because it's like I've got more stuff and I use it more often. But she's little like walking tornado. Like you've got pattern pieces flying everywhere. There's pins on the floor. There's little bits of fabric everywhere. She's trailing around thread. Where she's been sewing or what she's been sewing. And then she has a little pile on her desk next to her. And I just come in every now and again and I'm like, I need to organise.
And I'm currently looking at a pile of stuff that is Andy's. It's not mine, because Andy's started making bags. Just took it upon himself to start and sew.
I saw you post
really well
stitching, attempts and trials, which
wasn't even an attempt and a trial. He just did it.
He just went for it.
On a machine that I hate to sew with as well. And I'm like, it's not a bag making machine. So that it needs to find a home, but unfortunately there isn't one, because I have too much fabric, too much hardware, too many patterns, too many sewing machines. I don't know if you can see. Can you see? I can't even figure out which way to point. Can you see my new little sewing machine?
Oh, the teeny tiny one. Is it like a chain stitch?
Like a little tiny child's.
Oh, okay.
You bought me it the other day, sitting on eBay, and it came the other day. I was like, thanks. And I got a new sewing machine jug that came today. So I was like, and this is why there's no space for any.
I'm the same. I've got like little bits and pieces everywhere, and it's just one of those things. So it's just like the window is just this is now full of all my bag making supplies, very neatly organised, and then on top of them is all of the little pretty bits and pieces that people send me. They're like, I saw this and thought of you, and it's just like, this is so lovely. Where am I going to put it?
Well, I've got 3 machines up here. I've got one down there, one under there. Yeah, the overlook is down there. We've got so much stuff up there. It's a little bit crazy. Nikki says, luckily for me, the worst I've done with my rotary cutter is catch a small notch in the tip of my long nails.
Oh, that would annoy me though. If I
mine need doing, so
same. But that's something that it always amazes me, the comments that you get on sew alongs where your hands are in it, and I now go for like really kind of like, to me, inoffensive nail polish, because that was a comment I was getting quite frequently when I started wearing it again. It's like, oh, it's chipped, or oh, you've done that, or oh, it's very distracting color, and it's just like, why are you looking at my nails? Look at the thing I'm trying to do.
But mine are always going to be green, Mine are always going to be green because I love green. So
Love green.
Robin says, my hubby makes that face at me too when I have my genius ideas. Can't think why. Poor Andy. I mean, bless his heart. He's just, it's a standing joke that he just thinks about his life choices every single day and thinks, why? Why did I not run a mile? Just crazy. Donna says you both hate the current state of my sewing room. I wouldn't, because it's your sewing room and you love it. So
yeah, however you work, like if you can do the chaos thing, amazing. Like Mum loves the chaos thing, and for me, I have to have it. It's organized chaos as far as I'm concerned, but it's in my brain. I know everything is, and it's all neatly done. So yeah, like whatever work. I mean, Robin's calls her sewing room the Temple of Doom.
I mean, I'm not saying all my cupboards are tidy. Like they're kind of organised chaos. It could be tidy. My drawers are like a bit like, oh God, where's that? Because there's so much stuff in them.
Yeah.
But I can't have on the mess.
Yeah.
Like I can't be moving stuff in order to work. It would just. Yeah. I just can't do it. Like even at the minute, like my floor needs hoovering. There's threads on the floor, and I didn't have time to do it today. And well, I did. I went for coffee at Costa instead. Nice. Priorities and all that. Yeah. Andy's saying it's a Essex Mark 1, the little sewing machine.
Ah, okay.
Melanie saying she always likes to have a good tidy up between projects. I can imagine that about you, Melanie. Very much. Maureen says my kiosk has chaos. I mean, that's my life. I mean, my sewing room's tidy, but life is just wild. So at least 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's I can shut the door and it's nice and tidy. But yeah, just to prove that I did go to Costa. Donna says, it's too bad even for me right now. I can barely get in the door. Having said that, I'm about to climb back in. The stock needs making for the weekend. Yeah. Just literally imagine climbing in through the piles of fabric. Robin says, my craft room looks like orcs work in it. I'm another human tornado. But like that's what makes the world go round, isn't it? That
absolutely. Yeah. It'd be so boring if everyone was the same.
Yeah. Sarah says, I would love to be organised, but I have given up fitting my nature. I mean, I'm not generally an organised person. Like, I'd love to be an organised person, and I have dreams of being an organised person, and I try to be an organised person, but it doesn't always happen. But
yeah.
I like things to look organised. So with your website and everything like that, obviously with your retreat, all the details and everything are on there. I have got everything linked for your channel on the description as well. I will go in and try and remember everything we've chatted about and post links to lavender and twine and anything else. I mean, I was going to start down your favourite fabrics, but I don't think we'll go there. But I know that happens to be Lady McElroy and Sherwood fabric, so I'll link them.
Yeah, I've had a de-stash recently, and so pretty much everything that's behind me now is my favourites. I've really whittled things down, and since we've moved here 3 years ago, I've also cleaned out 12 cubby holes because all of these cubby holes were full of fabric, and now 12 of them have patterns and other things in them. So I'm being much more discerning in my fabric buying. But yeah, these are my favourites.
Because when we were chatting when I think it was when we were at the Festival of Quilts, and we were saying, because we both obviously had our colours done, and you were sort of saying about how that's made such a difference in the fabrics that you buy.
Definitely.
Sort of having your colours done.
definitely. And in the fabrics that I've destashed, because a lot of them were things that I was holding on to because I absolutely loved them. There was Lady McElroy, there was Dior's, there was like expensive fabric in there that I fell in love with and was just like, oh, this is so pretty. But every time I held it up to myself, it was just like, yeah, it could be better. And there's ways of making it work, but I just find that I mean, I'm wearing quite subdued colors today, but they're warm toned. But I just find that I'm so much happier in clothes and, you know, prints and stuff like that that are actually in my season. And, you know, the majority of it already was like, I was gravitating towards that naturally, but just having that done, it was expensive, but so worth it, because I have now, since doing that, only been buying fabrics that are 100, because I take my little fabric swatch with me every. I bought 2. I've got my ones for the sewing room that I've decanted and like made it into like these little swatch books so I can put together color stories and things. And then I have the little fan that's in my handbag that goes with me everywhere, especially to the Gold Court Road. And just like the last time I went, I spent a lot of money. I spent a good sort of £600 on silk, but every single one of those silks were in that fan. And so I felt really confident in doing that and knowing that it's not going to be this splurge that then just got pulled out and stroked and then put away because it's not right for me. It's not like to sew them, but when I do, I'm going to look fabulous.
I mean, that was when me and Andy first got together. That was one of the things I sort of explained. Andy was, you know, fabric buying and sewing are 2 totally different hobbies.
Yeah.
And sometimes the crossover and sometimes never the twin shall meet.
Yeah. I've got merch on. I've got merch of that on. It's like pattern buying, fabric buying and sewing are all completely separate hobbies. Yeah. It's totally true, because I did get that comment on a fabric haul video I put up. It was just like, it was really fun seeing all these fabrics, but it'd be really cool to see you make them up. And it's just like, sewing is a really lengthy process, and I've gone through half of the ones that I've shown you that I've bought this year, but it's much quicker to do this than it is to do this.
Yeah, I know it is. And then I think sometimes as well, like, especially you buy fabrics and you don't always know exactly what you want to sew with them, but you buy them because you just love them so much, and then you spend 3 to 5 working years deciding what you're going to make with them. So it's like,
yeah, I call that fabric paralysis.
Yeah,
because there will be some that I've got one back here that's really expensive, like faux patchwork Dolce & Gabbana cotton lawn, and in my head I've got 5 projects that I want to do with it. It would be amazing. I've got 3 meters of fabric, so I don't want to commit to one of them, because what if I make the wrong one and then I don't wear it and it's a waste of fabric? But so it just comes out every now and again, and I stroke it and then I put it back.
I know. Like, I only buy fabric in meter lengths, really, with being a bag maker, and I still have the same, because what if I make a bag that I don't love as much?
I've got some beautiful rose print faux leather that I got from Fabric Godmother. I've got a meter of it, and it's rolled up on a roll under the table, the cutting table, and I get it out every now and again. I'm just like, oh, it's so beautiful. And it's like, I want to make a Dolce & Gabbana like clutch bag with like a chain handle. It's going to be amazing. And then I put it away because it's like, oh, it could also be a really cool denim, like a faux leather skirt, or it could be put into a biker jacket, and then it's just like, I cannot make my mind up. Yeah, so it just gets taken every now and again, like stroked and put away.
I do exactly the same. Yeah. Sarah's saying her sewing room's also office, so she has to try and keep it reasonably tidy. Nikki says organised chaos is definitely the best. Grace is saying her sewing room's all in boxes as she's only just moved. Really that would be the first thing that got sorted out. When I'll be like, you can sort the rest of the house. I'm sorting my priorities out. Daydream Believer, I'm so sorry, I don't know what your first name is. Linda has said the best ever NCW tutorial was the one by Sian.
Thank you.
Donna is just laughing at
probably at the sewing chaos.
And Andy's saying machine collecting rulers, like all my rulers.
I've got 3 in front of me here that I used the other day when I was cutting something out, and that was Yeah, got them hanging all over the place.
Love the rulers.
Yeah.
Upcycle a lot for my business. I have trouble saying no when people offer scraps. Yeah. And Sarah says there's nothing more exciting than finding the perfect pattern for long hoarded fabric, though. Yeah.
Agreed. When you finally do it, it's usually a fairly euphoric feeling. Because usually it's something like we were saying earlier, we make multiples of our patterns that we love. And usually when you have a fabric like that, it will be something that you've made multiple times and you use or wear. And you're just like, yeah. Because like for that Dolce & Gabbana patchwork fabric, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this like sundress. It's going to be amazing. And I was thinking the other day, it's like, I need to make a shirt dress with that because I wear shirt dresses far more than I wear anything else. And that would be amazing as a shirt dress. And I've got enough in 3. Yes. So that's my latest theory for what that fabric's going to be.
I mean, it's like me with the NCW. Like I've made so many other wallets that I've enjoyed making and I like them, but I always go back to the NCW. I always carry an NCW. I always use an NCW myself. And I just think, but you know what? Because I like it. So if I ever had a fabric that I absolutely loved, that I wanted to make a wallet out of, that is the pattern that I would make. And I wouldn't be like, oh God, well, I'm making another NCW. But I know I would use it. And I know I would love it.
Yeah. That rose print faux leather. One of the bags that I'm considering is my giant sized NCW that I make into like, it's like an evening bag size. And I love that thing
with a chain.
Yeah, I'm thinking that is that's the one that in my head is what I should make from that rose print faux leather, because it's just like I love the ones that I've got. I use them, but then like I say, it's like it could also be a skirt or a jacket.
You need to multiply it.
Yeah.
My sewing room is also my office, dressing room, general room of requirement, about the size of a very small broom cupboard, and never ever tidy, no matter how hard I try. Well,
with all those purposes, the smaller it is. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, what sort of plans have you got in the sort of not too distant future? What can we expect to see from you on your channel? It doesn't have to be bag making, just anything.
I have a Vogue dress sewing along coming out on Thursday. I have been spending all of today editing the sew along, and I am sick of the sound of my own voice. It's at 2 hours long, and I've just got to film the twirly bits and the hemming of the skirt because it's doing its biasy thing over there. I've then got a video on border prints coming out the week after. I've got 3 new ways or different ways of using border prints. I've got there's a series kind of developing on the channel around those because I love border prints. I buy them often, but it's really easy to keep using them the same way. So it's trying to give some ideas of different ways to use them. And then I have a zero waste project with another Dolce & Gabbana X fabric that is not your typical zero waste projects, because I have one. I looked through my pattern stash. I do have one, but they tend to be very much rectangles that are just gathered down and end up being very boxy things. So I'm trying to tackle it in a different way of making the fitted shirt dress I like, the teeny tiny tie front shirt from the bigger offcut pieces, then bias binding, then self-covered buttons, then possibly even self-covered button earrings. I've also got the shoulder dragon pattern to make, and some of that's going to be that. And then confetti quilting, and then there's also crazy quilting, which my mum taught me, which I taught the sewing retreat, and everyone made little there's the cutlery pouches from their crazy quilting panels. So it's going to be like a different take on a zero waste project. I'm really excited about that one. It's going to take me a long time to get all those things finished. It's a very summary print. But that's the videos that I've got literally sat in front of me here, and I'm really excited about. And then I've got some more series coming up, some more mini tutorials of like standalone techniques and tips that I pull out of the longer sew alongs and make like 5-minute videos out of them, so that you don't have to scrub through a 2-hour sew along to find that, oh, that was really clever. So I've got a bunch of those planned. And then obviously we've got Vlogmas coming up in December, and we're already looking at our advent calendars. And I'm very tempted by the Studio 77 24-day bag making calendar. I think that could be really fun. So yeah, hopefully some interesting stuff coming up on the channel.
Well, I keep hinting to Andy, and then I was going to Emma the other day. I was like, a note against GDPR, but will you tell us if Andy's already bought us it? She was like, well, I can't do that. So I just need to, because I don't, if he's bought me it for Christmas, I don't want to then buy it.
Yeah.
But then if he buys me it for Christmas, then I can't open it as an advent calendar unless he gives me it before, like, yeah. Oh. I notice he's gone very quiet in the chat.
There is no comments coming from Grumpy.
Sheila says, can you recommend a weekend bag pattern? What was the one that you made?
The Luna set. It comes in a 3-size set like yours did as well, by Chris W Designs. I love it. It's a really simple bag pattern that looks very, very impressive, but it is expensive to make because of the size of it and the hardware requirements and the interfacing that you need. But it's a well-written pattern, and I love my giant bag. So
yeah,
and
the Tribbiani Traveller is, yeah, the Tribbiani Traveller is a good one as well. There wasn't much hardware in that one, so that was quite a reasonable one to make.
I am a sucker for hardware though. I love it. Yes, those little leaf pulls that you sent me are so adorable. I am totally coming back to you to buy the zipper by the yard for the colours that you sent me, because it's not something that I ever really had in before, and now I've got some really pretty pulls, and I'm just like, ugh, now I need a zipper for them to go on. And yes,
yeah, with the Tribbiani Traveller, literally was zipper tape, some D-rings, some square rings, and clasps. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, this one had like this one has toggles, the cord toggles, bag feet, the zipper.
Oh yeah, bag feet.
Because it wanted a 2-way zipper, and then like the strap hardware. But it was just because at the time I was going for Emmeline bags, and I think it was the interfacing that side of things that ended up being the costly part, because it was a lot of different types of interfacing and lots of them, because bag pieces are so big. So that was bag hardware and interfacing was 95 quid together. So yeah, it is an expensive bag, but it is awesome. And like I say, 3 sizes as well. That's very sounds like your one. And I still have enough of the fabric that I've used it to make the 2 smaller sizes. And I'm just like, ooh,
you need to make yourself a set.
Do I need this?
Yeah, because I mean that would be an awesome video.
Yeah, and like I say, Chris did ask me to do a sew along for it, so I'm just like, could do this.
Yeah, but yeah, having a set's great. And another great weekend bag as well is Spencer Og, and it's literally called the weekend bag. And I think that I haven't actually made it, but I know lots of people recommend it, and said it's very, very straightforward to make. Said, go on, you want it, mine's on order.
There you go.
Andy says he hasn't
definitively answered the question.
There's me rethinking my life choices. Absolutely not. I am just joking. Maureen saying she's treated herself to the 24 days from Studio 77.
Yeah. Well, Mum, Dad, and I always do advent calendars on Vlogmas, and so it's quite fun to try and do something a little different every year. And Mum wants gin again this year, and Dad wants a puzzle one. So I'm like, I have to have something different. So I'm very tempted by that one.
Yeah.
If she's still got any left in stock, because I would imagine they sold out quite fast. But yeah.
No, I think she's still. Because obviously I have quite a few conversations with Emma. I think there's still, because originally, can I just point out that it was totally my idea for the 24 days.
Well done, thank you.
You're welcome. Because obviously normally she does 12 days. Yeah, well normally she does 12 days, and then it was when we were at the Festival of Quilts, we were sort of chatting about she was sort of like, how can I do an upgrade, for people who might maybe want to get a luxury box, or how can I do it? Like, would you do like different things for the 12 days and that? And I was like, well, what about doing a bigger box and doing 24 days?
Yeah.
Which was like, oh, that's a good idea. And I said, and then you could do the same as the 12 days and then kind of do complimentary things and what have you, so it all ties in. And she was like, oh, that's a really good idea. So now when everybody's like, oh, it's such a good idea. And I'm like, yes. And I'm going to take the credit. So I'm sort of tempted to kind of maybe, because I've never ever done Vlogmas. I mean, you know, I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with my YouTube channel.
Of hard work.
Yeah.
And
when you run a sewing business,
exactly. Start 2 days in advance if you do it, so that you have a buffer. Say to people that you're starting on the 30th or the 29th of November, but have a buffer. And oh my God, it's hard work, and you will get sick of the sound of your own voice. You totally will.
Yeah.
It is really fun. Like, for as much as it is all those things, it is really, really fun.
Yeah. We'll see. If Andy buys me 24 days.
Every time anyone asks me, I'm just like, don't do it to yourself. It's fun, but don't do it to yourself.
I'm saying that. I'm like a spoiled child, aren't I? Like, if he buys me the 24 days advent calendar, he's just bought me this sewing machine. He's just bought me the sewing jug, and I'm like, and I want, and I've got a sewing room, and I'll stop it now, Andy, I promise. So everybody's saying thank you. I'm presuming that's for the suggestion for the 24th. I mean, I'm pretty sure Emma would have come up with it on our own, but you know, and I'm pretty sure it was over a Long Island iced tea and TGI Friday, so I'm sure that helped. So Donna's saying, what is the vlog thing? So it's Vlogmas in December. It's basically a video every single day in December, and you do yours. A lot of people do them opening like advent calendars and that sort of thing, don't they? I know Rachel normally does Vlogmas. Ruwan normally does Vlogmas.
There's
I'm trying to think
so
who else.
many to choose from. It gets to the point where there's like 24 hours of Vlogmas for you to watch, and so you really do have to pick your favorites and stick with it. But it is it's like Deb says, every day in December your favorite YouTube channel will upload. Usually it starts off with, you know, advent calendars, and then it's like little Christmassy things that you're doing that day. For me, I tend to just be like behind the scenes waffle, which I do have on my Patreon for anyone that's interested. But for like December, it's just like a behind the scenes of how a sewing studio or my sewing studio works. And every now and again, I will go and do something Christmassy. But it's just kind of fun. It's one of those things that there's actually a vlogger called Ingrid Nielsen who started it, I think 18 years ago now. And the pure and simple thing is that in December, the advertising revenue is so good that she was trying to work out a way of putting a video up in December every day of December so that she could cash in on the advertising revenue. And it's grown from there. And it is one of the best seasons for ad revenue that any YouTuber has. But it's also really fun to share your lead up to Christmas, because everybody's is so different. I have a huge American audience, and so many of them had not heard of advent calendars before. And they were just like, what are you doing? What is this? And now they're getting advent calendars, and it's lovely, because they message me, or they put it up in the Peeps group on Facebook, and they're like, look what I got. So yeah, it's just a way of sharing of your daily life in December.
I think I should do the same as your mum and get a gin one and just drink it on YouTube and see what carnage goes from there. And you'll be like, absolutely not.
No.
I will be disconnecting the internet for the whole month of December. It will not be happening.
Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed our chat. I hope everybody that's watching has as well. Thank you. I know the chat's always so good. Everybody's so good with their questions, and thank you for Andy, who always moderates. Not that he really ever has to moderate and keep anybody behaving themselves. Maybe he's me, but he's in a different room. So what can you do? We could pull the internet, I suppose, because he's in the same room as the internet. But yeah, I always really enjoy the Tuesday night chats with people. I'm just so interested in like how people got into kind of sewing and their journeys, and
it's always lovely to hear about the different approaches and reasons that people got into what we do and what we love. So yeah, I've really enjoyed catching up on some of your back issues as well. It was so interesting finding out about what Emma does, Studio 77, like the costume making and stuff. It was fascinating. So yeah, they really
because obviously you met Emma when we saw each other at the Festival of Quilts, so you went down that rabbit hole after that. So Donna and Maureen are now off to stalk YouTube and Facebook for all of the different channels. But obviously all of Sian's stuff is linked in the description. I was very good and linked everything before. And then tomorrow I will be really good and try and remember everything that we've chatted about. Yeah. I sit there and go, right, where, like, try to remember where the conversation led us without having to sit and rewatch the whole thing again. Because like, you don't want to have to listen to your
own voice. Yeah,
on double speed.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much for everybody for joining us. I always love, as I say, the Tuesday night chats. Next week, I have Leanne from Crafted by Leanne, who we were chatting about before. On, so we'll be hearing all about how she got into making bags and listening to how she designs her bags and what have you. And I don't know whether Erica's still on, but I don't know whether I might not be able to talk Erica into coming on at any point. So I might be really brave and send her a message. Who knows? If we all gang up on her, we might be able to get her on.
I will gang up on her later.
She says I'm on. Woohoo! She's still there. I'll drop her a message, and we'll hopefully maybe get Erica on sometime before Christmas. I need to actually sort out my October schedule because I haven't, obviously, as we all know, I haven't been very well. So I'm a little bit behind in organising things. But like I say, we'll have Leanne on next week, so I'm looking forward to that. So everybody enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you all next Tuesday. So bye.